Danny Segura for MMA Junkie. I'm here next to John Kavanagh in Miami after following the Copa Combate. First of all, we were just talking off camera. Pretty rare to see nowadays, like one night tournaments, right? You'll maybe get the Bellator ones like an entire year or so.
Yeah.
But pretty rare. What was it like going back and forth? Because I saw you all over the place, man. 3 fights in one night. What was that like?
Yeah, it's definitely an emotional roller coaster. And you've got to, like, as soon as you win, you've got to get backstage, get wrapped up again, stay in the mind focus. You can't slip into like a celebratory type mindset and, start thinking about, takes people back home. It's like, no, that's one round. It's a 5-round fight.
Yep.
Okay, they're switching opponents, but it's a 5-round fight. Let's just win one round at a time. And Campbell shouting at me in the background. So yeah, it's an interesting challenge. It's almost like a 5-round fight with longer breaks in between rounds.
Yeah. What do you think is like the most important thing about this? Is it keeping sort of the cool, not over celebrating the round victories, or recovery? What do you think is sort of the key to come out on top of a tournament?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird mindset because you're in the first fight or the second fight and you want to win, but you've got to pick techniques that are not necessarily going to damage you.
Yeah.
You've got to watch for throwing hard leg kicks. You might clip a toe, or you can't just be reckless with your shots. I mean, you should be doing that fighting anyway, but sometimes, like at the end of the second fight, I could see we were clearly winning, and Frans wanted to finish the guy, and I'm kind of shouting at him like, just back off, it's 30 seconds left, we've got 3 rounds to go, whereas he loves finishing, so he would have went in and just tried to brawl, but, he followed direction and took the foot off the pedal, which, again, if it was a one fight, well, you are going to try and empty the tank, you are going to try and get the highlight knockout. So there's a few things like that come into play.
Yeah, it seems Frans' toughest fight was the first one.
Yeah.
And then really after that, you can tell he sort of had some swag to his game and he was really letting loose. Did you say anything after that first fight, or what kind of unlocked that? Because it clearly was a different fighter after that first fight.
Yeah, looking at the 7 fighters, we thought this would be the toughest one, the first one. Just the play of styles. The guy had a good strong body lock and good entries. He was a little bit stiff in the first one. We have certain calls we give him to get that loose style that he's so good at. So yeah, I thought the first one he was about the worst he could be, even though he had a good win. But when we went backstage, it was like, okay, Frans, we got away with it. Let's not do that in the second fight. Let's keep the shots clean. Let's keep them on point. Let's vary the targets. Let's not just be winging and falling into the clinch like he did in the first fight. And in fairness, he made the adjustments.
Yeah. And for those that haven't seen Frans fight, like, can you talk a little bit about his style? Because it's very interesting, right? He had the kind of the Mayweather thing where he kind of bait him, right, and kind of lean forward a little bit. I saw a little bit of the McGregor there as well. Can you talk about what he brings to the game?
Yeah, he came in with a good boxing pedigree, a very good understanding of range. He was one of Conor's main sparring for the Mayweather fight, actually.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And he's a guy, like, he's a bantamweight, and he'll go in with lightweights, welterweights. He's got, you can put him at anybody and he stays safe. But yeah, he's got a bit of swagger, he's got a bit of confidence, and we want to build on that. All the other elements of the game are solid as well, but of course we're improving everywhere. But I named him the Black Mamba because he's the most dangerous guy in the world. So when he stings, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. You're almost a resident here in South Florida. Do you have a second home out here or what?
Yeah. I was only here a couple of weeks ago with Sinead, so you know what? If you keep bringing me to Miami, I'll keep coming because it's absolutely beautiful.
A couple of things outside of Combate Global. This might not be the most recent news, but Artem Lobov did retire from combat sports. First time I get to speak to you. Believe it or not, Artem Lobov has a huge following in Latin America and the Hispanic countries. He speaks very good Spanish.
Yeah.
He lived in
Argentina.
Yeah. Can you talk about sort of what his career has been like and sort of his legacy? Because everyone throws around the GOAT name, right? But I think that comes in an endearment sort of term. Everybody respects his fighting spirit. Can you talk about sort of his career and what he leaves as far as his legacy in MMA and combat sports?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, like, I challenge any fighter out there to look at his record. His second fight really was just setting out of his career. He was 0-1. He faced a 10-1 guy, Dave Hill, who back in the day was being said as to be the best guy in Europe. He went in against a 10-1 guy and beat him. And after that, it was just every other week he would come to me and say, "Oh, by the way, you and I are going to Sweden at the weekend." I'm like, what? Yeah, I took a fight. Yeah. I was like, well, do you not let me know? And probably out of all my guys, I've traveled alone with him to more fights all around Europe and everywhere else, because he would just accept anyone. A lot of people say this, anyone, anytime, blah, blah, blah. And then backstage, the promoter asked him and said, well, what weight class? And, I have an injury, or that's too close. he was anyone, anytime. His record reflected that. He had some great wins. He had some losses where I feel if he had a type of mindset of the newer guys that are a bit more careful about making a career path. But he was the original. Well, not the original, but certainly a fighter's fighter, a guy that would just go in against anyone, any rule set, any weight class. And I'm actually, we have it's becoming an annual tradition that we go to a Russian bar for Christmas, and that's next Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that with Artem and a couple of friends.
Yeah. We'll see what comes up on social media in a few weeks.
we make sure none of that gets on social media. It usually gets a little bit messy. When the second bottle of vodka comes out, things can get a little bit messy.
Nice. And real quick, Conor McGregor, last time we saw him was, a few months ago. He had that horrific injury to his legs. We see him on Instagram. He seems to be recovering fine, but can you give us sort of an update on his health? Is he back to 100%, or where is he at as far as just the health of his leg?
Yeah, we're not back MMA training yet, but he can do all like strength and conditioning, and he's being sensible about the approach of it. I've always used Conor. I do a little bit of talks with schools. I go around local schools in Dublin, and I will always use him as an example of what we can do in life when we get setbacks. There's nobody that comes back better than him. There's nobody who uses losses to fuel himself, to learn new things about his body, learn new things about training, and come back and do very well. And that's what I try and tell kids is that losing is not final. It's only if you quit that you fail. And he has shown that type of spirit that no matter what, he has his wins, he has his losses, but he's never going to quit. He's always picks himself back up again and goes back in. And that's what for me is what life is about. We're all going to have failures. We're all going to have setbacks. You're in a great position now, but you didn't get it day one. And I'm sure you had your knockbacks and there's times where you're saying, I just can't do this anymore. But you keep going, you go one foot after the other. That's what Conor epitomizes for me, and I think that's a great message for anybody.
Yeah. Early in his career, people might not remember, but he had a pretty bad knee injury. And I remember he was almost racing GSP. He's like, GSP recovered in this amount of time, I'm going to get recovered even quicker. Is that sort of the mindset here with this?
Look, if you and Conor were, no matter what you were doing, he would just get competitive about it. It's like, okay, you want to wear those? I'm going to wear them quicker. Or he's just competitive about everything. So for the GSP fight, or for the coming back from the knee injury, we had a great example of the great GSP, how he came back. All right, so let's set some goals. Let's try and beat them. And I think from injury to fighting Brando was a pretty short amount of 12 or 13 months, something like that. And not to just come back, but the headline of UFC, all that weight on his shoulders. And then to go in and do the type of fight that he did against Brando, that's, like I said, in the same way as Artem set off his career by fighting 10-1 guys as no one guy, Conor's career is about comebacks.
Yeah. When do you think we can expect him, or at least maybe not expect him, but when do you think he'll be fight ready for?
I would say early summer.
Okay.
I would say early summer. I think he's on target for that. I'll be meeting him. He's back in Dublin now, so I'll see him when I go home to Ireland. And I'm sure we'll have a proper 12 to celebrate Christmas. And then set about a plan for making the comeback.
What kind of feeling do you get from him as far as what he wants? He said something on Twitter like, "I'll do whatever I want. I'll get a title shot. I'll do this. I'll do that." But what kind of feeling do you get from him as far as like what he wants for his next step?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But what I was curious to see, because look, the guy has achieved it all. He's got the money, he had the belts, he had the accolades, he did all that, and then terrible injury like this, and I'm kind of sitting back to look at him and see what his reactions are, what his words are. Is it at this point? What's the point? I've got to go through all that training again. There was never a hint of stepping back. Mm-hmm. It was right away, okay, well, what can I do? The following day after the injury, he was bench pressing. His leg is hanging off, and he's bench pressing because he could do that. So that's Conor's approach. He's like, okay, what can I do? So I certainly got from his words and his actions that he wants to compete again. He wants to do the sport again. He loves the sport. It's not about money. It's not about anything else at this stage. It's the love of competition. Competition against himself, make himself a better version of who he was the last time. And then, of course, compete against all the great fighters in the UFC.
Is he going to compete a heavyweight or what? Because he's looking beefy, man.
I'm not looking forward to working out with him anymore. We used to be about the same size, but now they got to wrestle a middleweight bear. But look, right now, okay, the focus is on strength gains because we can. We're plenty of time out from competing in MMA, so get as strong as we can during this period, and then the time will come to convert that strength into power, and then add on the conditioning, and then of course the technique.
Yeah, certainly. And I just want to get your thoughts on something happening at lightweight. Recently, we just saw the lightweight title get defended. Charles Oliveira submitting Dustin Poirier to many people's surprise. So your thoughts on his victory, and is he legit, right? Because a lot of people were doubting him, but it looks like he's looking pretty damn good.
What's he now?
Right?
10 wins in a row.
Yep.
most finished, most of them being finishes. His stand-up is getting sharp now. He's got wrestling. He knocked out Chandler. They're submitting Dustin. If anybody's doubting Charles at this stage, they got to check themselves. That guy is legitimate. He's the world champion. He's a great fighter. And who knows? Maybe we meet him down the road.
All right, John. Well, I don't want to steal any more time from you. Thank you so much, and congrats on the Frans victories.
Thank you very much, sir.